Hello once again, and welcome to Heroes and Droids, your guides to movies and TVs about superheroes, sci-fi, Disney, and action. From Marvel to DC, from Star Wars to Star Trek, from James Bond to the Fast and Furious, we will review the theatrical films and streaming delays you care about most. Yes, and tonight we're reviewing Star Wars The Bad Batch, Episode 4, titled Cornered, streaming on Disney+. And yes, we are enjoying this show quite a bit, and it's going to be fun to talk about. But let me introduce the crew real quick. Starting off with the Slattman. How you doing, sir?
Good. Very good. Tired, but good.
Tired, but good. You know, well, should we say, take a moment and just share where you got to go to last week?
Florida.
To
Florida. Your reaction was great. I got to spend a day in Star Wars land. Yay! Yay! And then I went to Universal. Yay!
You took go to Hogwarts, right? So you went from Star Wars to Hogwarts. Well, anyway, let's keep going.
Star Wars is a lot better, by the way. It's a much better done.
There you go.
I don't know. They're both well done, but yeah.
Yeah, there might be millions of fans.
I'm biased, though.
But Star Wars, yeah. All right, also joining us is podcaster, Rockstar, and international cosplay queen, Vanessa. How you doing?
Hello.
Hello. I'm glad you're here. All right. Of course, joining us each and every week is award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Moore and uber Star Wars fan. So it's always great to have him here to discuss these shows on Disney+. Yes,
it's always good. Although you think in a futuristic world they'd have child leashes for kids, but just saying after this episode.
You know,
it's a long time ago though, in a galaxy far, far away.
I know. That's always the thing people throw at me. It's actually not in the future; it's in the past. But
that's not the only thing they throw at you, young man. What?
Oh,
it's
somebody started drinking before the podcast.
All right, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this show. We're going to give our initial reactions, and we're going to dive into discussion. We're going to get into spoilers at that time, and then we're going to wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score, and favorite scenes. So this is good. Let's do a quick little intro to the show. Yes, Star Wars Bad Batch Episode 4 Cornered, streamed, I should say, May 21st, 2021, directed by Brad Rao and Nathaniel Villanueva, written by, I mispronounced that. How do you pronounce that, Vanessa?
Villanueva.
That's exactly what I said. Written by Matt. I'm just going to stop. Cast includes D. Bradley Baker, Michelle Yang, and Ming Na Wen. All right. Synopsis doesn't tell you anything. The Batch's supply run goes awry. That is so obscure and obtuse that it has nothing to do, well, other than the very top level. There's a lot more that goes on, but let's dive into this. I want to know what you guys think. What is your first impression of this particular episode? We're going to start off with the Slattman. Do it, sir.
It's funny because that synopsis is about all you really need for this episode, because it's kind of, I don't want to say filler. I still enjoyed it a lot, but I feel like this is more of an introduction to Fennec than anything, especially for those that may not have watched Mandalorian. And that's what most of this episode revolves around, is showing off Fennec in her, I don't want to say badass prime, because she's pretty badass in Mandalorian, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
And in that regards, I think it does very well. She's a great addition to the episode, and I really enjoyed her presence, and I love the mystery that they introduce at the end, the little cliffhanger.
Yes.
But other than that, not a whole lot happens other than, they kind of land and they start in space and they end up in space around the same planet that they landed on.
It's one of those, bounce to another planet thing. But I want to ask you, since you brought up Fennec, this is after the first trilogy of films, right? 1 through 3. And then we're catching up with her now on Mandalorian after the second one. And that's 30 years apart. Am I right? Or is it 20 years? 20 years or 30 years? Maybe it's 20.
20 to 25, I think, somewhere around there.
Does the time frame work for her?
I mean, who's to say that she ages the same way that we do on Earth?
Good point. Good point. All
Just-
right.
So,
Yeah, you win. It's science fiction. That wins. All
But-
right, Vanessa, you're up next. Sorry, Slattman, to cut you off. But what was your first impression of episode 4?
Aragorn was 87 years old in The Lord of the Rings, so Fennec could do it.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
She could be super
Ah.
old. I had so much fun with this episode. I love Fennec Shand's introduction. I had so much fun with some of our B stories that we got with Echo. And while they're working on the ship back there too, it's just some really, really fun moments. And some kind of tense moments too. There's that chase scene that is really great in this episode. So, at first you kind of want to sleep on this episode a little bit, but there's some moments in there that are pretty spicy that made it fun for me.
Excellent. I like that. All right, Christopher G. Moore, sir. Let's get the official opinion here. What was your first impression of episode 4?
I don't know what's so official about my opinion, other than me being the standard Siskel of this group, of this
Absolutely.
bad batch of reviewers. I liked it okay. I think it had some good moments. I feel like the bad batch is turning into the sad batch because I feel like Hunter gets knocked out every time, and then Wrecker gets knocked out. So it's like these guys are so easily knocked on their butts. They don't seem so bad anymore. So it's like, and they're allowing just people just to run all over them, and I don't know. There seems to be they seem to be losing it, I guess, a little bit. But it had some really great scenes. I think the whole chase thing was very reminiscent of the Coruscant scene in Attack of the Clones, and even a little bit of a reference to Empire Strikes Back as well. So yeah, I think it's got some good moments in it, and it's good to see Fennec back in it. Although,
Fennec back in it.
yeah, although again, I think her running with Wrecker was seemed a little bit weird. She was, so yeah, I don't know. I a lot of it just ended up being like one of those comedy movies or sitcoms where the kid gets away and they have to go chase after the kid, and so it's definitely going into a mode that's making me feel it's less, again, the type of show that I was expecting. But still, I enjoyed the moments in it. I enjoyed the little Easter eggs here and there. And again, I mean, and also for a family show, when they shoot like a cop in the face, I was like, whoa. I was not expecting that. So, so they're still sort of walking that line sometimes when it comes to the violence in this episode, because you can't always use the excuse of it being robots or stormtroopers. But yeah, I think it's, again, good, a not so good episode is still greater than a lot of episodes of other stuff. I still enjoyed it. I think it just makes me kind of sad when I see like these Bad Batch characters like not as bad as they used to be. And I don't know if that's just part of them having to sort of come to terms of not having stuff on their own terms anymore, but they just seemed a little bit more less have less aptitude for the abilities they had in the past. And I don't know, that to me, that kind of pulled me out of it in a few places. Again, I feel like Hunter, like every episode, Hunter seems to get knocked out or something, and it's getting a little bit old. It's like, man, maybe you need to start wearing a helmet again.
Four episodes in, it's already old. That's
So I don't know. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it.
Maybe I don't know. I'm not too far from you. I enjoyed the episode. It's fine. I'm not gonna, it's not like I said, oh, why'd I watch that? I mean, we might do that with a different review, but with this one, it fell a little flat because it didn't feel like filler because it's establishing stuff, but it didn't really have the arcs that the previous 3 had. Right, there was always this pretty solid arc. And I'm not really sure if I got what the arc was in this. It was more about establishing some of the storyline with with Fennec and having bounty hunters after them, and also establishing that the Bad Batch is kind of trying to figure out what to do because they don't have the backing of they don't have any backing anymore. So they're on their own. They can't turn to the Empire. They can't turn to the Republic to get food, supplies, and weaponry, and they've got to figure it out. So there's that challenge. And I also think you get in this sense that as a group they're lost, right? And they don't work as a whole together. But I think that's the purpose, right? Because they don't have the sharpshooter. What's his name again?
Crosshair.
Crosshair, right? I had it in my head like 10 minutes ago. They don't have Crosshair with them, and they're trying to figure things out. So I think they're establishing that, and that's what I was getting out of this particular episode. But I think we already had it. So I think it felt a little redundant. But at the same time, like Vanessa said, it has its moments. There's this crew of robots that are funny and hilarious. There's the chase scene is actually quite intense. It even ends up with her being stuck on a ledge. That's also rather intense for for an animated show, I thought. So it's handled really well. It's just like a necessary step to get from 3 to 5. Right? Am I right? I'm right. So Vanessa, I want you to talk about the robots for a little bit, because there's 4 of them, 3 little guys, and then a 3PO kind of droid.
Mm-hmm.
And what you said pre-show that you really liked them? Tell us more about that.
Oh my God, that was just such a fun little B story to me. First of all, with Hunter selling Echo in the form of a robot, and then him taking charge of all these other robots. One of my favorite lines where he's like, "Gear up, men, we're going out in the field." And it's just so slapsticky. And I love seeing that kind of stuff because it's very silly droids and funny noises is also very Star Wars. And little moments like that, slapsticky moments when the little stubby one named Clink, when they get to the aircraft to start repairing it, and the 3PO type droid is like, "I don't know what I'm doing." And he pushes her out of the way and says, "I'm in charge." It's just so silly and cute. I loved it. They know what they're doing with their marketing and their characters.
Yeah, it's definitely reaching for a certain audience with that, right? So
the little droid really reminded me of Chopper from
right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, with the little attitude and the jumping around and the little arms.
Yes. So cute.
Well, I like that once they were free of the bolts, they were so happy to go off and do this adventure.
Yeah.
It was like they were like, "Yay!" It was
Yeah.
it was kind of and they were so enthusiastic. It's great.
That's kind of what saved the whole episode for me. That and the chase scene.
The chase. Okay, I think that's fair enough. Who wants to talk about Fennec? I think we've all talked a little bit about her, but Slattman, do you want to grab this? What does having her being a bounty hunter on this particular, in this particular show and in this part of the storyline, what does that mean in the greater picture?
It means she's been doing it a lot longer than Boba has.
Ooh.
I guess so.
How dare you?
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
How dare?
Because let's think about that. Because
I mean,
Boba's just a little
I know
kid,
Boba started young though. He started.
Boba started young, but she's established at this point. Boba had only been doing it for a couple of years because the Clone Wars is only 3 years long or so.
Yeah.
In Star Wars canon, and Boba didn't actually become a bounty hunter until probably a year or 2 into it, and she's established. So I mean, but we're probably grasping at straws at this point because based on how they work together in The Mandalorian, I feel like that's more of a 1A 1B than a alpha.
Yeah, it's more gratitude, not gratitude, but in what is in?
It's an understanding.
Yeah, I mean, because
Partnership, maybe.
yeah, because he saved her, and
So do we
Yeah.
know who hired her? Are we all in
Hmm.
agreement on who hired her?
It's probably the Huts.
ooh, you think it's somebody other than
For Omega?
Ooh.
I know
Ooh.
there's other people say that it's like a bounty hunter organization that it could be possibly.
It would
be
be
Boba Fett.
so awesome if it was Cad Bane, but you know.
What, well, okay, I don't remember that name. Tell me what that is.
I just thought it was the Loch Ness monster, guys.
The long neckians.
You're blowing my mind.
Oh no,
Cad Bane
Cambodian?
is Cad Bane's a character from the Clone Wars. He's a very badass bounty hunter that who has a fascination for hats, similar to
Hats.
yeah, like really like large hats. I don't know. You'd have to see a picture. If,
Okay.
Like the lady from Resident Evil Village.
yeah, but think more Indiana Jones, but
Okay.
with that hat on it. With
With that hat.
yeah. He's kind of he's a badass, honestly, and
Okay.
he's a fan favorite character from the Clone Wars, and he kind of stopped being in the Clone Wars, and as far as I know, outside of maybe a couple comics, hasn't really gotten a resolution to his story. So, I mean, the other option that I would really enjoy if it was Hondo, but that doesn't make
Hondo.
as much sense. But that would be fun.
Yeah, that would be. So we have at least four choices, right? So we
Why
need to
does
do.
everybody want her?
We
Why
need
do
to
they
do a
know
poll.
about her?
We got to do a poll.
How old was Boba Fett during the Bad Batch?
Well, he was very young when the Clone Wars started, so 3 years older than very young.
So maybe like 16.
Yeah, or mid-teenager, maybe like late teenager. I don't actually know how old
3
he
years
was.
older than very young.
He had to be like 12 or something when we saw
Yeah.
him in the movie. So
Yeah, let's just so we'll put him at 17, 18, somewhere there. He's in high school. He's in getting ready for his senior year.
going to the Empire
Galactic
Academy.
Yep,
On
yep.
a
Yeah.
series.
Yeah, that's what they're going to make it. They're going to, yeah. Oh God, Boba's Creek,
Clone High.
Clone
If I
High. Oh,
They already
you
made
see
that.
what's on the ground there? That's the rails we just jumped off of. All right, Christopher, you said there were a lot of Easter eggs in here, and we have a few minutes left. So go ahead and give us a couple of those nods and Easter eggs you saw.
Well, one of them is the little stormtrooper doll that she picks up is the same stormtrooper doll from Rogue One.
Is it?
Yeah, it's the little doll
Oh.
what's her name? Urso?
Yeah.
Jin or something?
Jin Urso. That's the
Yeah.
doll she had as a little girl.
Really?
Wow.
And again, that kind of shows you how, the old school stormtroopers are now just dolls. They're not even considered real threats anymore. They're more stuffed animals at this point.
Well, you
so
also
they-
have to consider. You also have to consider that the clones were like the saviors for the Republic, so that's probably why they were idolized as dolls and things.
Right, because they were about done in until the clone showed up with Yoda in charge,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah, and of course, you come across a lot of different aliens and stuff we've seen throughout the universe.
The goat guy. What was up with the goat guy?
He's
like-
always been
Even
like,
sounded like. Does he always? Do they sound like goats normally?
I
'Cause they-
believe so. In the
I was like-
the cartoons, like Clone Wars and Rebels, they've always sounded like that.
Well, even the guy that's over their landing pad or whatever, he's almost like he kind of reminds me of the sidekick of
Lando.
Lando when they're in the Millennium Falcon.
oh yeah, okay.
But I mean, yeah, you have a lot of different things. I mean, also, of course, the part where Omega's holding on is very. It's almost very Empire Strikes Back when Luke's holding on to the thing, and I feel like, and just the whole car chase scene is very Coruscant. It almost feels like they just took sounds from Attack of the Clones and just put it in there, because it sounded like a lot of the same types of sounds when they have like their big chase scene throughout Coruscant.
Just slowly phase in like Obi-Wan complaining about Annie's driving.
Yeah. Although I always find it funny when they take like certain things that we normally see in action films or even in movies and normal entertainment, and they put it in the Star Wars universe. So when the guy's in the truck and he's listening to his music,
and he doesn't even know what's going on.
Cracked me up.
I was like, I mean, I love it when you can take something you normally see like in a Michael Bay film or something, and the guy's not even noticing all of his stuff in the back of his little floating dump truck, is falling out. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of little things like that if you pay attention to that. For me, it's always like, ooh, I've seen that alien from this thing, I've seen that ship from this thing, and it's just funny how they just sneak in all those different things throughout. And I think even some of their some of the holograms they use look like more of the holograms for Mandalorian. Mm-hmm. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in this. I mean, even the screen that the little dude uses at the landing pad is very reminiscent of the screen that what's her name from Mandalorian, Cara Dune she's using when she's looking through people in the prison.
Yes
because it has that sort of green tinted screen like those old TRS-80 color computer, before the color computers, but the old like AS400 like old computers of the old days.
You're losing everybody. You're losing everybody.
I know.
Like,
hey,
everybody's like, what?
My government job still uses an AS400.
Oh no! All right, that's crazy. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Give our final thoughts, our score, favorite team. But Christopher, next week you have to bring 10 nods to other things and Easter eggs.
We'll do it. Well, we could definitely have 13 million episodes, but yeah, I'll try to do a top 10 references to top 10 Star Wars Easter eggs. I'll do that in every episode starting next week.
Yep.
Episode 5. It's a good one.
The task is on. All right, let's do this. We're going to wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. But before we do, if you're still listening to this review, one, thank you. We appreciate it greatly. We hope you're enjoying this review and many others that we have on the site, both with Heroes and Droids covering Star Wars, but also the Marvel stuff and many other films and shows. And we also have a whole bunch of horror stuff if you happen to like that. So check that out. If you want to help us out, it's really easy to do. Just hit the like button, and you can hit the subscribe button, or you can share with a friend. And it does amazing things for us, and we thank you very much. And of course, we'd love to hear your comments down below. Let's quickly thank the patrons over at Patreon, because without their support, we wouldn't be able to put out not only Heroes and Droids, but Decades of Horror, Horror News Radio, and Gruesome Magazine. Thank you all so very, very much. All right, let's do this. Same order. So, Slattman, you are up first. Your final thoughts, your score, and favorite scene.
I like this episode. I don't love it like I've loved the others, but I still like it a lot. And I kind of agree with Christopher G. Moore that even though I don't like it as much as I've liked the other episodes, it's still a lot better than a lot of other stuff that we've watched or
Absolutely.
that is on TV. So even if I sound negative, it's still very positive. It's still a very good show. I know that we've talked about that it feels kind of like the Bad Batch feels lost and confused, and they're not really working well together right now. And I agree that feels very much on purpose, and I feel like they're trying to show that this transition is hard on them as well. And I appreciate it for what it's doing, and I appreciate that every time every time something comes up and they have to save Omega, they automatically go into I've got to save her because she's the mission right now.
Mhm.
And I feel like by the end of the season, probably more like end of the series. I don't know how they're going to do season 2 of this. By the end of this, I really feel like there's going to be something else that becomes their mission, you know, their goal in life, and it's probably going to be joining the rebellion, and I feel like that's what we're working towards. And in order to get to that awesome ending, we've got to see them at their low point, and I think this is either at their low point or at the beginning of their low point, and I appreciate the show for what it's doing in that regard. I love the inclusion of Fennec. I love seeing these characters outside of their one and done story. You know, the fact that we've got this character from Mandalorian and she's now being expanded into basically the entirety of the known canon now. And she's getting her own show with Boba later. I feel like this is really going to become the Bad Batch and Fennec show, which is not a bad thing per se, especially if they're having to play keep away from both Fennec and Crosshair by the end. That could make for an interesting confrontation later.
I play hot potato with her.
With Omega. Pass the Omega. Oh,
that's hilarious.
All in all, I really like this episode. I like what it's doing, and it does have a lot of really great moments, like Vanessa said. And I think this is going to be one of those ones that we look back on a lot more fond, and we think of fonder than we did on first viewing, because I feel like it's setting up for something great later. And I hope I'm not wrong. I'm gonna give this one a 4.
Okay.
Still very solid. And my favorite scene is probably the scene where they're clueless about the guy wanting a bribe for not looking up the ship's code. And he's just like, maybe if I had some monetary influence. And he's just the look of disgust, and when Tech's just like, is this enough? And he's just like, and I like that exchange. It also I like that exchange because not only is it kind of funny, but it also just shows how out of reality, like how outside of their comfort zone they are, and how they're having to relearn how to live. And it's just, I feel like that's probably the second most important thing out of this episode, outside of introducing Fennec to probably a lot of people that haven't seen her before, if they've only watched the Clone Wars and haven't paid attention to Mandalorian. I don't know how, but it's possible. So yeah, those are my final thoughts.
All right, very good. Yeah, very good. Vanessa, you're up next. Final thoughts, score, and favorite scene.
Yeah, it's not as, it doesn't move the plot quite as quickly as some of the episodes do, but I still had a lot of fun with this one. I really enjoyed some of our moments. I enjoyed Hunter selling Echo. I enjoyed seeing Tech and Wrecker having to work on the ship. The way they're breaking them off and they're having their own little mini adventures within the episode underneath the main adventure that they're on I'm enjoying that. I'm having a really good time with that. And yeah, I agree too. I think we can really begin to see development and growth in our characters outside of what their mission objective was. They were told what to do. They were provided what they needed to survive and to complete the mission. And they just kind of operated that way, even though they were different from the other clones. They still kind of operated the same way. So seeing that kind of fall apart, them dealing with the variables, and throw Omega into that, we get the all my dad's kind of situation, and they all feel very responsible for her. And that changed the way that kind of messes with your brain too. I think anybody with kids would understand that. Like you were saying about the leash for kids, that's you get mom brain, you get dad brain, and I think they're working that into the story really well. And I like to see it. We're getting a lot of those fun kind of moments that you see in movies like, I don't know, for some reason Look Who's Talking is coming to mind, but I don't know about that. But that kind of fun movie with kids, I guess. But yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm gonna give this one a 4 as well.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it deserves to be up there still. I'm really enjoying all the episodes so far. And my favorite scene is that it's kind of that chunk there where Echo gets sold. He takes over the droids, and when he leaves, and he's like, "You got me for a bargain," and he takes all the droids with him.
Yes,
I really like that a lot. It was super, super fun. Yeah, I'm excited to see where it's going to go now, because this episode didn't really do much other than introduce Fennec. So let's see what's going to happen now, right?
Yeah. See, or I guess we're going to get more of her. I would suppose.
Oh yeah. Oh
more
yeah.
of what's all behind her. All right. Christopher G. Moore, sir, your final thoughts, your score and favorite scene?
Well, we get an episode with space cops and space pugs.
Space pugs. Oh my god.
So, yeah, I'd expect the space pugs to show up at Galaxy's Edge any day now. Maybe you can build them in the robot place. But yeah, I think, yeah, this feels like a little side venture away from everything, even though we're sort of we're tying into these, that they're sending bounty hunters after them, which actually plays into the whole Coruscant feeling of the episode, because it feels like that, was it Sam Wessel or the assassin that wears almost like a similar outfit to Fennec. So yeah, so it's got some good moments. I mean, the whole Coruscant action scene is really the primo part of the episode, just the way that's crafted, and dealing with like, oh gosh, this kid's gonna get killed by the end of this. But yeah, but at the same time, I understand the Bad Batch are still trying to figure out their place in the world, but at the same time, I don't feel like they should lose their ability to function as badasses. And I feel like they've lost a little bit of their badness. More like the semi Bad Batch at this point.
Semi bad.
And I kind of miss the Bad Batch part of it, but maybe that'll play into later. Maybe they'll end up joining the Rebel Alliance or something, helping on that end. But I don't know. It's still a fun episode. It's still got some good moments in it. It's got some humorous moments. And it's still a fun episode to watch. But I think for me, I just felt kind of let down, because I feel like these guys that are supposed to be so bad, they're like bad dads. they're not, they've lost a little bit of the badassery that made them so cool. And I mean, I miss that. So I mean, I'll give this episode I'll give it a 3.75. I think you think all the stuff that they dealt with and involved with Omega running off and doing all this stuff, they'd keep a better eye on her, but they still never learn their lesson, do they?
They don't know how to.
And again, I feel like every episode they're one of the Bad Batch has got to be knocked out. Usually Hunter, and now Wrecker. Who why is he so easily knocked out? I don't. Maybe his head, because of his head thing. Maybe that's what caused it. I just felt like it was a little bit. She dispatched him a little too easy for me, and that kind of bothered me. Him supposed to be this sort of big wrecking ball. I think there should have been more of a fight there. But
do you think they were trying to establish her as a badass, more of a badass?
I think it almost felt a little bit. I mean, she's still a badass. I mean, the whole chase scene just shows how badass she is. I just think that meeting between her and Wrecker just felt a little bit too easy. But I don't know. again, it's still a fun episode, but as for favorite scene, you know, if I went the normal route, I would say like the chase scene
Yes.
at Coruscant. But I also want to sort of add an addendum of my favorite Wrecker moment is when he's running back to the ship and he sees the cops cars going the other way. And he's like, "Oh, I want to go where the action is," and I laughed so hard seeing that part. Just Wrecker, you know, he's always wanting to bash some heads in
Yes,
when he's not getting knocked out. So anyway, I think I mean I hate to like take the obvious, but I think the chase scene is probably the big moment of the episode.
Yeah. I think unfortunately in this episode they're a somewhat bad batch. They need to get improved. I'm kind of with you on that, Christopher. There, but like you said, still enjoying it, still having a good time with it. It's interesting to see, you know, these other familiar characters being pulled in. I will admit that I'm more intrigued about what that implies and what it means inside this episode. So for me, that kind of hurts the intrigue of this episode, or the importance of this particular episode. Hem and haw. I still think it was wildly entertaining though. Like I said, it had great action, had funny bits, and I smiled through the entire thing. But I need some more plot development. I need some more what's going on. I need to know who's in on this and what's happening, and we need some more Crosshair back in here, because I really enjoyed that last week thinking back on it. So I'm going to give it a 3.75 too, Chris. I think that's actually, I think that's the right score if you ask me. But it's still a great score, still a great show. Room for improvement. My favorite scene is going to be buried in Vanessa's, so I'm hoping I can take it. It's not the entire scene, although I could easily have done that, but it's the actual moment when he frees all the droids and they're just so damn happy to go and fight with him. Yes, exactly. Doing the little Christopher G. Moore dance down there. And he
I'm not that short.
But I just thought that was, you know, their enthusiasm to get involved, and they come scooting out the door, you know, right past. It just was great. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with that because that made me smile so big.
If they don't make that robot like a stuffed animal or something you can buy at Galaxy Edge, they're losing money.
Yes.
Or at
Petition
least
for
like a
Clink.
little action figure
Yeah.
that you can get like at Target.
Also, the next episode needs to open with Hunter talking to Omega about stranger danger. Just saying.
Stranger danger.
We even didn't even talk about the moment that Fennec just like, well, how help you get back to your ship?
Yeah.
I'll be that nice mommy to you.
I'm actually glad you brought that up, because do you think she was actually out to harm her? Or, I mean, she's actually capturing her, but it didn't feel like she was like, you know, it wasn't like dead or alive wanted, right?
No.
Right?
No,
So,
I think she's trying to manipulate because she wants the bounty on that kid, and she's got to make it seem like, oh, I'm a good person.
because she still paid the one guy at the place.
She gave him something.
Finder fee or whatever. Yeah.
If they come back, yeah.
So it was interesting.
Well, I mean, there might be an ulterior motive or something else going on there, but then, again, we have 50 million episodes to go, so I'm sure it'll come out at some point.
What if she's working for Saw Gerrera to try and get them to, and that's why she was being so nice.
Right, now we have five suspects. Damn you! All right, Hunter's going to pick up the little stormtrooper doll, and he's going to show me on the doll where the bounty hunter touched you.
Oh no!
No! Boo!
No.
Shut that down.
I think. No, I'm not going to add another. I was going to add it, trying to find a random Star Wars character that.
What was that? What did you do, Vanessa?
No, she thought I was gonna go even worse than what you did, which I am not going there.
Okay, good. Well, we all know. Well, then I've got that taste now. So, all right, let's end it on that sour note. All right, guys, thank you for joining me tonight. outside of the last couple minutes, this was a great discussion. Looking forward to next week, and also looking forward to Loki on the horizon.
Oh my gosh, that's so
Couple
soon.
weeks.
I
And we
know.
also have Cruella to kind of squeeze in, and I think there's Luca, and we never did Raya, so that's coming. There's a lot of
Jungle Cruise later.
Jungle Cruise. Well, that's in July, but yeah, so there's a lot of crazy stuff, and Fast 9, I guess, is one that we'll definitely cover here because we mentioned them in the intro. So we got to do it right.
Which is practically going to be in space at some point. So.
Well,
I mean, they already drove cars through airplanes. So
Well, when your big action scene was come up by your kid, you know something's wrong.
why is that wrong? Why is that wrong?
Because only a kid would come up some action scene where you use a magnetic thing to whip your car over a canyon. But
Yeah.
anyway,
And they're still making enough money to make more.
that's
Oh,
true. It's made like what 130 something million overseas right now. So
Oh, that's right, and that's just that film. Yeah. But,
speaking of Fast and Furious, the Fast and Furious ride at Universal is so bad.
Oh no.
not good, huh?
yeah,
It's the worst ride in the entire park.
Ruh-roh.
it's interesting. But yeah, there doesn't need a ride. But there's people that love it for some reason.
If you're not in a car racing around, it doesn't need to be a ride. Are you in a car racing around?
You're in like a vehicle and things
It's
are
like
happening
a-
all around you.
But it's not good.
Not good.
It's a lot of projection screen stuff and
Mm.
Well, you
No,
guys
thank
might have
you.
a hard time with something to come to Universal later because I think it's similar, right? The Mario Kart and that projection and all that stuff too.
So the Kong
definitely
ride, the
better.
King Kong ride is similar, but that's done so much better.
Okay. Okay.
yeah, it just feels weird when it's not fantastical. You know, it just
And-
feels weird when there's a bunch like a bald guy and you're chasing him around in your car. It just feels kind of weird. You know, I'd rather be like a big monkey or a spaceship or something else. But yeah, when it's just like a bunch of like, yeah. Or there's even one part where the people are dancing in a club. It's like, why am I here?
That's super weird.
All right, we
Thanks,
better
I hate it.
let's get out of here. All right, guys. Hey, thanks a lot. Let's say good night.
Good night.